Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is WatchArtSci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Kaz's complex collection. And it's complex because he's got some really good watches mixed in with some that are a little questionable. I'll put it that way. And by questionable, I don't mean they're bad choices. There's simply sort of a different kind of choice than everything else that he's made. The first group of watches I want to take a look at that Kaz has are the Cartiers, and he sent me images of these different ones. And you have one that's called the Panthère. The current Panthère or Panther looks totally different than the one that I was sent. And then there's the Pasha, and the Pasha is probably of the ones that Kaz has is the best, horologically speaking. The Cartier Tank Les Must and the Must de Cartier. This is a type of Cartier that was really set up to be affordable. Back in the 70s, when Alain Perrin took over and Robert Hawk was one of the major guys in the organization, they said, hey, we're going to come up with the affordable ones called Must de Cartier in order to make them affordable. Instead of making them a gold, we're going to make them a vermil, and vermil is sterling silver with a gold plating. Well, it's a gold-plated watch, period. Whether you use sterling silver or something else is not a big issue. Also, too, the movements the mechanical movements that went into Cartier watch, a lot of those were ETAs. And so there was a period there, I think, where Cartier was basing too much of what they were on their reputation, and they did and still have a very good reputation. So, in looking at these, I started looking at some other Cartier watches, and I got to tell you, Cartier has some incredibly cool watches. And the Calibre de Cartier, the movement is top drawer. The gal who was the head watchmaker at Cartier, Carol Forster Casapi, she won the best watchmaker at the Grand Prix in 2012. I mean, so we're dealing with, somebody who's a world-class watchmaker here, and a number of the what are called Calibre de Cartier watches and these are both the men's line that are actually called Calibre de Cartier, and a number of the women's watches that have it in it. If you're going to get some more Cartier watches, and try to get one really good one, a good tank with oddly, I think some of your best tanks are going to be your older ones. You're going to be because they will have the original movement that was in the earlier tanks, or a newer tank with a Calibre de Cartier, and they've got a lot of really good models out right now, and I'd get it in stainless steel. So anyway, and as far as the Cartier is concerned, things get very complex with this collection. But as sort of a type of brand, a watch brand, they're sort of split. They got some great things ever since the Calibre de Cartier. And then back in the day when they had the original tank, they had some really good things. In between, and especially the Must de Cartier, you want to stay away from those. Okay, let's take a look at the next batch of watches that you have. And here again, we're looking at things get complex, okay? Here you have two Breitlings on the top row and two Frederick Constants on the bottom row. the Breitling, the Transocean on the left, it has a what's called a B01 movement, in-house movement. Great. This is what drives me crazy about Breitlings. They've got some really good in-house movement, but they're screwing around so much with these old ETAs and stuff that they're throwing in there. And they've done that with the nav timer, the one on the right. Gorgeous looking watch. I love the design of it. But the nav timer is ticking on a 7754, an ETA 7754. And it's not a cheap watch. Those things, that's like a $15,000 watch, for crying out loud. But, you know, and it looks almost the same in certain respects, okay, as the Transocean. So, you know, of the watches in this group, the one that I think is worth having really is the Breitling Transocean. The other ones, you go out and you spend a lot of money on something that you can do horologically, you can do better. Okay, on the bottom, Frederick Constant. And Frederick Constant, one thing that everybody loves about Frederick Constant, almost from the get-go, they were in-house. They have their own movement, they did a good job, and that's great. The problem, and they really have, they're very affordable, and they have beautiful designs on both of these watches. Look at those faces. They're great faces. Fantastic dials on both of them. All right. The one on the left, I'm not sure, but it may be quartz, okay? But I'm not positive. It could just be an in-house movement. Kaz didn't give me the information on that one. Love the looks of it. I mean, it really looks great. But it's gold-plated. And you know what happens with gold-plated? Pretty soon, you know, you play around with it, and the thing looks like it has a mange. Same thing with the moon phase on the right. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous watch. No doubt about it. But again, to me, if you can get a Frederick Constant, get a stainless steel. Then you get a totally honest watch, okay? You don't have the gold plating, and you have a great watch. It's a great looking watch. It's got an in-house movement, and it's affordable. And so this is one thing. Now, you probably know that Frederick Constant was bought by Citizen, and they're still a Swiss brand because they stayed in Switzerland, but their ownership moved. Okay, this is why this collection's complex. You got some fabulous looking watches, but then you have to separate the horologically really good ones from not as much. Okay, let's go on. Now, this next group of watches is where you've got, I think, the best of the collection. You have two Mont Blancs, the Nicholas Rissusec is one of my favorite. It's got an in-house movement. I guess it's got a great design, innovative, just everything about that watch I like. In fact, I think this may have been one of our watches of the week at one time. And then on the right, you have the Mont Blanc Time Walker, and the Time Walker has an ETA 7750 in it, and you know that's why get a watch that has the functions that you can get in something else that has good horological. So on that, now at the bottom you got that gorgeous Glashütte original. It's called Monphase. It's a Pano, part of the Pano series. I just love that watch. Look at that. I mean, for crying out loud, there's this beautiful dial to it, a blue dial, a great big sub dial, and it's sort of like a upside down snowman with the big dial on top and the smaller dial underneath it. And then that nice, great big date on there, and then the moon phase over on the top. Love that watch. Now that's a great watch. It's got an in-house movement. That's the kind of watch if you're looking at horology, and that's up there with watches like the Holy Trinity and Patek Philippe's and all of those. Same with the Elise Nardin Marine. That is the coolest looking sports watch. I love that for a sports watch. Everyone wants to go out and get the same kind of sports watch. I don't know why, I mean, but they do. And Ulysse Nardin, the thing about them is I think they're a heck of a good buy. I really do. I think as far as the bang for the buck is concerned, they're really nice. Same thing with Glasuti Original. I think both of those watches are really great. So the only one here, and again, these are not inexpensive watches. My God, Kaz, you're spending a fortune. But it's okay. It's your fortune. Great looking watches, but some of them, you want to you want to make my job easier. Okay, the final group of watches. These watches are sort of a catch as catch can. They're not expensive watches, but they're nice watches. The Longines is a classic looking Longines. I like the looks of that. Now here we have another Mont Blanc, but this Mont Blanc I put over here because I think it's quartz, and it's part of a series they had called the Star Series. One of the Star Series actually won a sports watch, Grand Prix sports watch. I think it was 2010 or right around there sometime. There's also one called Catena. The Catena, it's a vintage watch, and I don't know much about it, to be honest with you. It looks pretty banged up. I don't know if it's something that you'd want to wear, and in terms of, I don't know what, maybe just to have it as a collection. You have a skeletonized watch, and those are, it's not a brand I think that anyone would recognize, but it's interesting. I have an inexpensive, cheap skeletonized one. I never even look at it anymore. Okay, the final one is called Theorema. Theorema. See, the dial on that thing, I hear you have a world timer, okay? I mean, you've got a real world time watch here. It's a Theorema makes fairly cheap watches, and God knows where the movements are from. But they look good, okay? Here, though, you spend somewhere $800, $900 on a watch like that, and you're sort of taken away from money that could be added to something a little higher. Okay, now the one thing about Kaz's collection, here's a guy with fantastically good taste as far as I'm concerned, in the dials and the looks of the watches that he's picked. I really like them a lot. There's a mixed bag, though, in terms of the horological values of the watch. And my suggestion is this, okay? You got good taste. No one's going to, I think, ask anything about that. In certain places, you don't want to show up with a Mustang Cartier, okay? You look like the guy that's sort of trying to get into the back door, and you really don't belong. You don't need to do that because you've got some other watches that are, that are really fantastic. I mean, here you have the Ulysse Nardin, you've got Nicolas Racicek Mont Blanc, and you got that Glasuti Original. You don't need to go in and show up with a cheap, seriously affordable Cartier. You're going to get a Cartier, get a decent one, get a Calibre de Cartier, sell the other ones. That would be my recommendation. And I know you wouldn't have as many. You got me turned on to Cartier, so I love their design. There's nothing wrong with their design, but if you get a Cartier, get get one like I think your Pasha would be your model, but even better than that, go with the Calibre de Cartier. Find one somewhere that's affordable. Put that into your collection. You have a gorgeous collection, and and you can take some of these other ones that are not quite and sell them and up your collection. Anyway, that's what I would do. Do what you want. I mean, you've got, like I said, I think you've got great taste in watches. And I think you got and like I said, it's a very complex collection, though. This isn't like, this isn't one of those collections where everything is one way or another. You got complexity here. So, anyway, interesting collection, Kaz, and thank you ever so much for sharing it with us. And see you Friday. Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, and you can subscribe if you like.